Hi, my name is Brad Smith. I worked for 20 years at Microsoft. I just retired about a year and a half ago. I've had several bouts and episodes dealing with cancer. And in fact, I was fortunate to have discovered it at all. I began to experience some pain around my eye. This was in August of 2016. So I called my primary care and they said, well, you should go to the hospital, to the emergency room right away, because that kind of a symptom can indicate a heart attack. So I went to the emergency room. They didn't find anything wrong, but they suggested that I get a stress test and go see my primary care. And she took one look at me and she said, "Oh, you have shingles." But then she said, they suggested getting a stress test. So I think you should go see a cardiologist and just do a workup. I went to the cardiologist and he said, I looked at your x-rays from the emergency room, and on the periphery of the heart x-ray, I saw a dark mass on your lung. And I don't know what that is. It's not your heart. You need to look at it. And that's where the journey began. The discovery randomly of this lump on my lung. Went to a pulmonologist, did the biopsy, and boom, it was this non-small cell lung cancer. I wasn't a smoker. They immediately put me on chemo and radiation treatment. In July of 2017, they discovered it had metastasized. So it metastasized to my cerebellum in my brain. And by that Saturday, I was having a tumor removed. And then they put me on a first round of type of drug called Tarceva. And then in 2018, my lung doctor decided to switch me to a newer cancer drug for lungs called Tagrisso, which is really kind of now state of the art. And then until 2020, everything was stable. And I began to experience pneumonia-like conditions. And first thought, of course, is I've gotten COVID. And it turned out I had developed a pneumonia-like condition called pneumonitis, which is a rare side effect of Tagrisso. I had to go off Tagrisso. So I was on no cancer drug, nothing. And we decided to let it heal by itself. At that point, after the 2 months, we did a scan and a brain MRI, and there was no evidence of anything. Now that's been going on for the last 3.5 years. I'm on no cancer drugs. I'm not under any treatment. It's a little bit of a mystery because lung cancer is not something that usually just goes away. My cancer doctor feels that perhaps the fact that I had the pneumonitis created an allergic immunological response that had some effect on the cancer. I'm a very it is what it is kind of guy. You take what's given you and you go from there. I try not to stress about things that I can't control. With lung cancer, it was the same thing. I can't control it. It is what it is. I'm going to live my life the best way that I can, considering my condition. And part of that was I felt that I had to be a role model for my children. I wanted to show them that, and this is really important to me. I wanted to show them that bad things happen, and it's more about how you react and handle those bad things than it is what is the bad thing. The things that supported me in trying to deal with this, first and foremost, of course, family and friends who were very accepting. I found it very comforting to be completely open about this. Some people I know are more private and they don't like to share. I found energy from sharing and discussing. I've always been an extreme exercise advocate. I've run, I ride bikes, I lift weights. And through all of my treatments, I never stopped. Now, I had to back off at times. I followed doctor's advice, but I kept active and I kept trying to exercise whenever I could. And to this day, that's what I do. When you reach this point in your life, really there's a divide in the road, and you can choose to go to the left or go to the right. If you go one direction, you accept what you have, you deal with it, and you just live your life and move on. You only have one life. You've been dealt a set of cards. You got to play the hand you're dealt with. And that's what I chose to do. When I first was diagnosed, they were telling me 2 or 3 years was the likely outcome. I chose to, well, if I've got 2 or 3 years, I'll make the most of the 2 or 3 years that I have. I didn't want to, and I refused to kind of go and hide and stress about it and worry about it and spend half my days upset about it, because that wouldn't help anything. So I just pushed it aside and said, I'll move ahead. My advice to my kids was, you got to exercise now, and you got to exercise and make it a habit while you're healthy, because then when you're not healthy, it's going to be a lot easier to do it when you need to do it. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world of cancer all over the world, all over the country. I would belong to one group, which is a Tagrisso Facebook group. There are other Facebook groups that will be, non-small cell lung cancer. Having a place to go to answer questions that you don't know the answer to and hearing people's reactions, and you'll get a full range of responses. Never lose hope. Always try and be positive as best you can, because they're discovering new drugs every day. There are new trials, clinical trials every day. As the old Monty Python movie said, always look on the bright side of things.